So we have this endpoint here that is retrieving all the quizzes, and the quizzes contain all these questions, right? That right now they're represented as just plain old strings. And that's exactly the data that we have stored in Mongo. But more interesting would be if the structure here that is maintaining an array of strings that represent the questions, it'd be nice if they could be more than just plain old strings. For instance, what we could do here, instead of just saying that these are strings, we could say that yes, they are strings, right? The types are strings, yes, right? But these strings are not just plain old strings. Actually, they should be treated as foreign keys, right? As IDs of records that are stored in some other collection. So the way we do that is that we're going to replace this, instead of being the type string, right? We're going to use a mongoose data type, right? Inside of the schema, inside of types, that is going to refer to and say, right, configure this, the data type as being, hey, it's not just plain old string, right? It's actually an object ID, right? And that object ID is actually referring to a model, right? Another model that Mongoose is maintaining, right? It's maintaining a quizzes model. Remember that? And so that we could perhaps ask Mongoose, say, hey, I don't want just the ID. I actually want you to fetch the object that this ID represents, right? So to do that, we're going to use a new configuration here called ref that say, hey, this ID is actually a reference to an instance object that lives in another collection that we are calling here in Mongoose. We called it, I believe we called it question model. Right? This is how we called it locally, right? So there it is. So let's try this out. Let's refresh here. If we go back and hit this API, right? Notice that we still are just getting plain all IDs, right? So nothing has really changed, right? We're still retrieving those object IDs. They're still being just stored as plain strings, right? But because we have now configured them as references, right? This opens up a couple other options.